There's something you wouldn't expect to hear when you're talking about two of the biggest names in hip-hop. Two men who have sold millions of records, made hundreds of millions of dollars, influenced generations, and created empires out of words and music. But the truth? These two legends are some of the stingiest spenders you'll ever meet. It almost feels like a joke, except it's not. In fact, it's one of the most fascinating realities in the world of fame and fortune. Eminem and 50 Cent, two of the richest, most successful rappers in history, are known for not spending their money. Not in the usual flashy, extravagant, look at me way you might expect from people with their level of fame. They're not out here collecting luxury watches, buying half a dozen cars at once, or throwing money around at parties like it's Monopoly cash. Instead, they keep it tight, quiet, and surprisingly low-key. The person talking couldn't believe it either. When asked who were two of the richest people he'd seen who never spend their money, he answered instantly, without hesitation, Fifth and Eminem. You could hear the awe in his voice. It wasn't just the answer. It was the way he said it, the way it hit. It was like realizing the richest guy at the table might be wearing the cheapest shoes. And it's on purpose. Eminem, the rap god, the man who made Detroit a focal point in hip-hop history, is apparently so frugal he might not even buy himself a watch. The one he has? Probably a gift. Not a splurge, not a $100,000 timepiece with diamonds encrusted in every corner. Just a gifted item. That's wild when you think about it. This is a guy who could buy anything he wants instantly. He could walk into any store, point to whatever's on the shelf, and walk out with it. But he doesn't. That's just not how he operates. Then there's 50 Cent. The man who once said, "Get rich or die trying," has clearly mastered the first part of that sentence. He's gotten rich, super rich. But spend it? Nah, that's not happening. You want to know how serious it is? He won't even consider buying something just because it's expensive. Someone brought up a situation where he looked at something worth $500,000 and practically rolled his eyes at it. Not because he couldn't afford it, but because in his mind, that price tag made no sense. It was unnecessary. And waste. He going to look at it like a $500,000. Hold on. You could almost hear him thinking, doing the mental math, deciding in a split second that it just wasn't worth it. And this mindset? It's rare, especially in a world where fame is often linked with showing off. There's this unspoken pressure in celebrity culture to prove your wealth by the things you wear, the cars you drive, the homes you own. But these two, they flip the script. They've built massive empires but remain grounded in a way that makes them almost unrelatable, but also fascinating. They don't flex their money, they protect it. What's even more interesting is how natural it seems for them. They're not doing it for attention. They're not trying to be mysterious or humble brag about being frugal. It's just who they are. It's almost like money doesn't impress them. They're not chasing the next expensive thrill because they don't need to. They've seen what real value is, and it's not in material things. Eminem has been famous for decades, but you rarely hear about him going on shopping sprees or posting pictures of gold chains. His wealth exists, but it's quiet, under the radar. Even his style reflects that. You won't catch him in wild designer outfits or jewelry that blinds you under the lights. He stays in his lane, does his thing, and keeps it moving. That's power, real power, the kind that doesn't need to scream. And 50 Cent? His journey from the streets of Queens to boardrooms and TV studios is nothing short of legendary. He's been shot, survived, hustled, and climbed his way to the top. But even now, with all the success, he's still calculated with his money. It's not fear, it's control. He controls his wealth, not the other way around. He knows that buying something just because you can isn't the same as winning. Winning is keeping that money, growing it, and using it to build something bigger. When you hear them talk, or more accurately, when people talk about them, it paints a picture of two men who have figured it out. Not just how to make money, but how to keep it, how to not let it change them, how to not fall into the trap that so many do. The trap of spending to prove something. Because here's the truth. When you really have money and when you really know your worth, you don't need to prove it with things. Your work, your name, your legacy, they do the talking for you. It's not about being cheap. It's about being smart. And these two, they might be the smartest of them all. They've built brands that generate income year after year. They've invested in projects that pay off long term. They've made moves that extend far beyond music, and they've done it all while keeping a tight grip on their wallets. It's almost ironic. In an industry where image is everything, where artists are expected to look the part and live the fantasy, these two have chosen a different path. They've shown that you can be rich without being reckless, that you can be successful without being flashy, that you can own everything without buying anything unnecessary. People often say money changes people, but for Eminem and 50 Cent, it seems like money only made them more focused, more aware, less interested in the circus. They're not trying to impress anyone. They're not chasing anyone's approval, and maybe that's why they're still standing, still winning, still in control. There's something almost poetic about it. The rap world, built on the idea of coming from nothing and rising to everything, often celebrates the moment you can finally spend big. But these two? They flipped it. Their moment wasn't when they spent big. It was when they didn't have to anymore. When they realized they didn't need to prove their success with a shopping cart full of designer brands. Their names are the brand. Their legacies are the proof. So next time you see someone flexing on social media with stacks of cash or new cars lined up in the driveway, remember that two of the richest, most respected figures in hip-hop history are doing the exact opposite. And not only are they doing just fine, they're doing better than ever. Because sometimes the biggest flex is no flex at all.